When did you realize you weren't a child anymore? When I realized that it costs money just to exist. I had recently moved into my first apartment and just loaded up on groceries at the store. Checked the mail when I got home and discovered my first water and electric gas bills. I remember thinking it is going to cost me money to exist for the rest of my life. No matter how hard people try, nobody has ever really succeeded in living without money. Not even Indian gurus sadhus that devote their life to living without possessions. It's just a sad fact of life. Dr. Stephen Strange, seriously? You don't have any money? Wong, attachment to the material is detachment from the spiritual. Dr. Stephen Strange, I'll tell the guys at the deli, maybe they'll make you a metaphysical ham and rye. Yup, now I understand my dad yelling at me for leaving all the house lights on during the day. When a little girl walked past me and said to her mother, I like that lady's scarf. Lady? When I asked for a Cypher wet jet as a birthday present. You know you're getting old when the candles cost more than the cake. Dropped my keys in a grocery store and a little girl scurried over before I could pick them up. She looked proud as punch for saving me from picking something up that was way down there on the floor. I wanted to hug her and smack her at the same time. It's official. I'm old now. Nope. Old is when you drop something and look around to see if you can pick anything else up while you are down there. You have a ways to go yet. When my spouse gave me a nose hair shaver for my birthday. Was at the barber a few days back and did not fail to notice he ran his clipper across my ear hole opening and hit some hairs on the way. I am my dad. 27 and still not sure. 32 and still a kid. Now, kids, your uncle is building a fort for himself out of cushions. Maybe he'll let you in if you ask. I know some 50-year-olds that are still kids. I remember it clearly. I had just moved into my first apartment 1,000 miles from my hometown alone. Got everything moved in and set up. Didn't have much then. A bed, a TV, a couch. That was pretty much it. I had a rough day at work. Lots of complaining customers and led me to talk to your supervisor moments and I was exhausted and emotionally drained. I opened the door to my apartment and there was silence. No noise from siblings. No parents sitting on the couch watching TV. No friends waiting to hang out. Just the oppressing silence of an empty apartment with nothing on the walls. The kind of silence that echoes when you sigh. I stood in my doorway and had the realization that I'm alone in a big city with no support system, friends, or family to help me if things don't work out. It was a lot to take in all at once. TBH, I keep having such moments. I mean, I'm all grown up. Married and mom of 3 kids, but from time to time something comes along reminding me I'm not a kid anymore. And not just the big ones like buying our first house or a new car, but simple things like making my son's breakfast, and realizing now I'm the big one or going grocery shopping and being able to buy whatever I want, and then not doing so cause it's the adult thing to do. When my wife travels for work, I still go to the supermarket and binge on ice cream. I got the flu and vomited all over my room. I knew I was no longer a child when I was also the one to clean it despite feeling like hell. This reminds me of when I was young I felt like crap, grabbed a trash can, and went to my parents' room to tell them I was sick. Almost immediately I vomited into the can and they sprung out of bed like the house was on fire. The second they realized I puked into a bin, they told me to flush it down the toilet and got back in bed. One time, my toddler vomited while standing in his crib. I managed to catch every drop in my hands. Proudest moment ever. My dad saved my Easter dress while we were in the car when I was probably 3 or 4. He couldn't pull the car over fast enough and caught my vomit in one hand. After hearing that story I realized I will never love anything enough to do that and I do not want kids. I had graduated university, had a place of my own and a job, and was out doing some shopping. It occurred to me that I could and probably should just go ahead and buy some beer and some cookies, not for any kind of event or occasion, but just so I have them in stock at home. I wasn't planning to go home and drink 10 beers and eat a bag of cookies. I didn't even want either of them that day. I was just living a normal life and thought it would be good to have that stuff in stock. When I realized that I am going bald already, at least I have no problem growing a non-patchy beard, so I became the typical bald guy with a beard. Pulled up to a Sheets near the high school I went to in the middle of the afternoon, and there were a bunch of HS kids hanging out front, and my first thought was, why are all these kids just hanging out here? I was like 25 and felt like I was 65 when I thought that. 25, and saw a bunch of HS kids outside the mall wandering around last night when I went grocery shopping. Literally had the same first thought as you. Until I remembered I used to do that same stuff. I'm already becoming an ornery old lady and I'm not even 30 lol. I think I am just bored with my life and I haven't taken a vacation in way too long. When I realized the adults in my life has no idea of what they were doing. They were just winging it. That hit me like a baseball bat when I realized that adults are not adult because they now know what they are doing. Rather because their parents' generation decided to not put up with their kids' shit anymore because they're 18 and good luck with that. When I realized I could eat Nutella for dinner and no one would say a word. The best part about being an adult is you can eat an entire jar of Nutella and nobody can stop you. The worst part about being an adult is you can eat an entire jar of Nutella and nobody is there to stop you. And no one will rub your tummy because you feel sick from eating too much Nutella. When I saw my first paycheck and how much I'd been taxed. I paid more in taxes last year than I used to make in a year. One of those bittersweet occurrences. Innocence is lost as soon as you understand what innocence means. When I was 13 I found an old box. I realized I hadn't played pretend in ages, so for the hell of it I sat down in the box and tried to see if I still could. I realized that while I was still an imaginative person, I could no longer see the scenarios and stories I used to play act in my head as a kid. When I pretended to be a princess, goddammit it, I could practically see the marble halls and unicorns around me. I couldn't anymore. Made me cry, haha. My mom told me she couldn't call to make appointments for me anymore or handle my medical legal business since I'm too old. Fucked me up. Was so confused since I was coddled for way too long. Almost 21 and still learning how to make professional phone calls. When I moved my bed to the middle of the room, instead of the corner. I still miss folding myself into the crack by the wall. The minute you realize your parents are fallible, your childhood is over. One day I woke up and I was married and had a mortgage. Not sure when all that happened. When I got more excited about getting a Keurig for Christmas than I was about getting a video game. College freshman, at 18 years old, I was on the bus going from my dorm to the classroom buildings. It was a big, urban campus. I had just started growing a beard. A small boy, about 4 or 5 years old, looked directly at me and then said to his mother, "That man looks like Uncle Dennis. Maybe he's Uncle Dennis's brother." I was no longer that boy. I was that man, and old enough to be mistaken for an uncle. And now I know I'm a middle-aged man, because that small child, wherever he is now in his early 30s. At 22, after my family passed away, I went from being a college student worrying about finals to suddenly making end-of-life care decisions and being the executor of their combined estate. I definitely struggled through the first few years, but things really started to click when I turned 25. Because of my experience handling my family's estate and learning how to manage assets, I turned out to be a pretty decent investor and ultimately found a career in finance BC of it. The first time I called my parents with a problem I needed help with and they just gave me an "Oh, that sucks. Talk to you later." When bedtime becomes a luxury, not a chore. Got socks and underwear for Christmas and was happy. Oh sweet, I needed some new pairs.